So, this is day 2 of our Linux introduction. Yeah, that's cool. Um, so y'all are at your CentOS home screens, right? You're gonna log in as root. A password, I believe, is password. Indeed, it is. All right. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna have you guys do is under Application System Tools. No. Oh, under Accessories in this version of Linux. You're gonna get the terminal, and the first thing we're going to do is check to make sure our version of Linux is up to date. We're running CentOS 5.4, so it's an older version already, but we can make sure that we have the most recent packages installed. And last time we talked about Yum as a package handling tool, so we're going to use that to update. And the command for that, if you're root, is just yum upgrade. And then I like to put -y in there, which means that when you download a package that needs a yes or no answer, it's going to automatically choose yes. And we'll let that run. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of them. It might require a restart. If you update the kernel. I didn't do anything. Did y'all's exit out on its own? Mine can't find a mirror that works. Let me update my repositories. If I can type. Nope. Y'all's are working though, correct? Oh, you don't have ping open. So I have connectivity. Don't have to actually update unless there's a dependency for Nagios or Wireshark. No, I want to because we were going to install Wireshark from Yum. If none of the mirrors are working. No, those are the ones that are set to be updated. Yeah.
This is just getting ready
The
for it.
first run is downloading everything,
I just finished my first run.
and then it's gonna go through and install everything.
Well, at the least, we still need development tools. So,
So, but it seems like Yum is working for you. It's just I thought it was choking on one package.
it's choking on the mirrors. It couldn't find. It was checking a whole bunch of different mirrors.
Let's try installing Wireshark. See what happens.
All right. I have to cancel this then. You know what? I wonder if it's the VM.
Yeah, go ahead and set your NAT for bridge. Or set it for bridge instead of NAT.
Yeah.
I don't think I sent any of those to Bridge.
All right.
No, those are shipped to Bridge.
Yeah. So that's fine.
It is the CentOS that was on the desktop, right?
Yeah.
Bridged.
Yeah, that one up there was.
Should I net it or leave it bridged?
No, it's fine. Just let it.
This is not doing anything. Is it trying to text?
No, yeah, it's doing something. It's just taking a while. That transaction test, it's like verifying everything.
Took a while. It's okay.
Yeah. Like if you go to system administration system monitor, you should have some activity.
Maxing that shit out.
Yeah, I would see if you can install Wireshark.
Okay.
There is a command that you can run while it's doing mirrors to make it switch mirrors. I forget what it was. I thought it was Control C, but that just kills it.
That just quits it. Yeah.
It used to be Control C, I'm pretty sure.
Is this supposed to be Camp 1?
Mm-hmm. No.
I just want to see if it'll stop at the mirrors, because these are already cached. Yeah. Still doing it.
What is a current port?
That's just one of the mirrors. Are your updates done?
No. I'm installing now. And now I'm at like 13 out of 579.
How's that first?
So I can install Wireshark, so it must be something. I'll just leave it like this then.
Yeah, just don't worry about it. Just go into what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I still gotta.
here's the thing to learn. Yum upgrade will let you update your Linux box.
Yeah.
So next thing.
Um. Alright, so we'll have to wait for your downloads to finish to do this. But the next thing you're gonna do is what I just did. Is you're gonna
You should probably just clean.
Alright, so go ahead and Control C your updates. We're gonna install two things to play with, and Mike's gonna talk about them after we're done with this. The first one is Wireshark, which is really easy. We're gonna yum -y for yes, install Wireshark. And if there is a program that you need that's in a repository already, that's how you install it. You're just gonna yum-y install, and it will check. Mine's already at the latest versions. Yours should have 2 files to download.
Also show them searching and then using
Yeah.
to search.
If you're not sure what the package is called that you need installed, you can search your yum repository. So I'm going to search for I don't know if OpenArena is in there. No.
Just search for like
IP. That'll work. So there's a lot of packages that have letters IP in them. So maybe you're looking for something with IP in the package name, but also something about Ethernet in the description. So remember we talked about piping last time. So you're going to take your yum search IP output and pipe it into grep.
Hey, can you not make your window maximized and pull it up so that your command bar is no. Your terminal window, yeah, so your command is higher. There you go.
And we're going to grep for Ethernet. You see we found one utility that has IP in the description or the title and Ethernet in its description as well. And so that's a really good way to search through packages if you know kind of what you're looking for but not what it's called. Grep is a regular expression utility that searches through strings for something that matches your regular expression or your search string. So mine was Ethernet. You can use a regular expression there and then give it a file.
So if you have a command that's going to produce output, you can pipe that into grep, and grep will search that whole output and then only show lines that contain what you're searching for.
We also went over this last time, but if you're ever not sure what a command does, you can use the manual page for it. And so man grep tells you exactly what grep does. It'll give you a description and tell you all the different flags and how to use them. So, after you've installed Wireshark, make sure that it's running or working by just typing Wireshark. Should be. Internet maybe.
Let me see.
What in the world? Not understanding that. Wireshark is installed and it's the latest version.
Wireshark. We've got user lib Wireshark and user share Wireshark.
It should be user lib. It might be user share, but
Well, just do VLC maybe. See if that'll work. I can do Wireshark from Windows.
okay. You want me to install VLC?
Yeah.
No package VLC available.
Let's see.
Why don't we just go ahead and move on to Nagios?
Alright. So that's normally how you install it.
Yeah, you just
I don't know why Wireshark isn't showing up.
yeah. Well, it's also version 1, and they're on like version 3. Like these are old VMs.
Yeah.
But next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at how to install a program from source. The program we're gonna look at is Nagios, which is it's a monitoring station essentially. And when we go to the competition, generally what they use for monitoring and scoring is Nagios. So it's kind of cool to see what it looks like ahead of time, what it can do, and also to see it's a pretty decent sized program to install from source. So we'll go ahead and get working on that. The first thing you're going to need to do is install some prerequisite packages, one of which is Apache, which is HTTPD. That's a web server program, and PHP. Another thing that you'll need is for compiling GCC, which is a C compiler, glibc, which is the libraries for that, and glibc common, which is more libraries for glibc. You also need GD and GDdevel. So it works on these, but not on updates.
How can you determine exactly what you need before
What's
the
the
rest
first one? It's on, he's looking at a Nagios install guide on the Nagios website.
Yeah. A lot of them, like the GCC, glibc, glibc common, those you need for every source install. Because Linux is written primarily in C. Yeah. Linux is written primarily in C, and those are the C compilers. Oh, come on. Good. And so while this is working, we can do a couple other things. Go ahead and go to accessories and start another terminal. We're going to add a user for Nagios to use to monitor your system. And so to add a new user in Linux, you can use the user add script, which is in /user sbin user add. That's the
You can just type user add.
yeah. If it's well, let's try it. User sbin is your script bin, and that's where most of the system scripts are stored. So that's where you'll find stuff like adding and removing groups and users and things like that. So we're going to user add -m Nagios, and then I'll add a username Nagios. And then we're going to need to give Nagios a password. So we're going to use the change password command, which is passwd, and then the username. And I'm going to set mine to password just because it's easy to remember. And it'll bark at you, but it'll let you do it. So once we have the user Nagios, we're going to need to add a group for that user. So we're going to use group add to add a group. And we're going to call it Nagios command, like that, NAGCMD. And then my download's finished in the back, so I know Apache is installed. So what you need to do now is give that group permissions on Nagios and also permissions on Apache. So we're going to use user mod to change the properties of that user. Add to the group Nagios command, and we're going to give Nagios to that group. And then we're also going to do the same thing for the user Apache, which is our web server.
What's the big G?
Group.
You're adding to the A of the group, Nagios command,
Mhm.
adding to Nagios.
Is the user.
Yeah, you're adding user Nagios to the group.
Alright. So has everybody gotten that far? Yeah. Alright, so now we've got our users and our group set up. We're going to go ahead and download the package. And I went ahead and got the URL, but I can show you how to get it so you can just copy and paste it and it'll be a little bit easier. If you open up your web browser and go to www.nagios.org/download/core, because we're not just gonna do the core install. Thanks. You can take the top download right here, the top link, right click on it, and I just want you to copy the link location. I'm going to verify that it was right. So that's your link location. And what you're going to do is you're going to wget that file into your current directory. So wget, paste that in there, and we're downloading Nagios. So my Nagios is finished downloading. Where are you guys at? Good, good, good. All right. So if you look in your current folder, you're going to see the Nagios 341 tar.gz file. It's red and it's ending in tar.gz, which means that it's compressed. So to uncompress this file, we're going to tar. We're going to extract verbose gz file, and it's a folder, or F is force, not folder. Our Nagios file. Go ahead and run that. You can see everything being unpacked. Now if you look in your directory, you should have a blue Nagios directory. We're going to change directory into the Nagios directory. And if you remember last time, there are 3 major steps to installing a program from source. Your configure function, your make function, and then your install function. And so You can see in here config.guest, config.sub, and configure. Those are scripts that are built to take information from your machine and build a make target for your make file. You can see the make file is in the folder. So we're going to /configure first, and it should give you a bunch of output. It's going to check to make sure you've got everything you needed installed, to make sure that it can actually compile the source for you.
That's what /configure does.
/configure, yes. And I actually forgot something, so don't type it quite yet. With Nagios, there's a special thing you got to do. So you need to give it a group that it's going to be using to operate in. So with your config, you're going to do with command group, and then the name of the group that we give it. It was Nagios command, right?
Yeah.
So with command group equals Nagios command, and then I'll rerun the configure. So that's step one, getting the make file ready and making sure that everything is working right. The next thing we're going to do is actually compile the code but not install it. So if you type make all, it's going to compile all of the Nagios source code, which may take a few minutes.
We may have had to install Wireshark -no.
It should let me launch it from command line though. We can try it though. So now we've configured and compiled Nagios. It's time to actually install it. The Nagios has 4 things that you need to install. First, you install the binaries, then the init script, then some sample config files, and you set permissions for that group. So those are all make install commands. The first one is make install, which is the major one for all downloaded source builds like this, and that's going to install the binaries in all of their correct places. And then as you can see at the end of this, it tells you the other ones that we need to do. So once we've done make install, we need to make install init, which is going to install the initialization scripts. After that, we need to make install config, which is going to give us our default configuration files and put them into place. And after that, we're going to go ahead and change our permissions by using make install command mode. Alright, so technically Nagios is installed now, but we're not ready to use it right yet. Nagios is a web-based service, so it uses some Apache stuff, and also Apache is the web server. And also we need to change a couple things just so Nagios can be used properly. Nagios, what it does is, like I said, it's a monitoring utility, and one of the things that it can do is it can notify the person who is using Nagios if something changes. So, for example, if you're monitoring a bunch of servers and one of them goes down, Nagios can email you and tell you one of your servers went down. So this isn't necessary, but I'm just going to show you. In user local Nagios, etc. objects contacts. You can see in here you can set up contacts for what goes on. Contact name, the use, the alias, and then the email address. And so if you wanted to change this to your email address, Nagios will email you and tell you when something's wrong. But I'm just going to leave that for now. One of the things that we need to do is change the password that's on Nagios. It won't let you use it until you change its password. So we're going to change using htpassword -c user local Nagios etc. htpassword.users, and then the username we're going to use is Nagios admin. So go ahead and run that. And then the password for me is just going to be password. So what that did is for Nagios, it added a username Nagios admin with a password. Now we're going to restart Apache, the web service, to go ahead and let it load our Nagios page. So restart that. And you should get 2 OKs there, one for stopping, one for restarted. And then we're ready to start Nagios. There's a way to start programs at boot with Linux, just like in Windows, the startup folder. And the way you add that is with check config. So chk config. Then we're going to add a program. So --add Nagios. And what that's going to do is it's going to start Nagios when the computer starts. Well, it adds it to the list of things that can be started. To actually start it at startup, we need to check config Nagios on. And so that adds Nagios to the list of startup programs and checks the box to make sure that it starts. So now we can actually start Nagios. If you need to start a service, use service, then the service name, and just tell it to start. And Nagios should be up. Just to make sure that Nagios works correctly, we're going to go ahead and check our SC Linux, which is like a Linux firewall. If you type get enforce, it should tell you whether it's enabled or disabled. Mine is already enabled or disabled. If it is enabled, or any of yours enabled, then to disable it, you're going to set enforce to 0. And then type enter, and that will disable. If you type get enforce again, it should tell you disabled.
That says permissive.
Permissive? That should work. Right. No, don't worry about restarting it. So Nagios should be installed and up on your system. In order to get to it, it's really simple. We're going to go to localhost /Nagios. Maybe. Yes, I did. Starting Nagios done. It's running.
Go to it might be just go to your web files and see what folders there are. It's var www HTML. Might have skipped a step.
Hmm.
Let me see.
Do we make install the web config?
That's
I'm looking up there.
Yeah, the documentation, the quick start.
all right. Well, let's try it. Let's go back into your Nagios directory. Let's go ahead and make sure that we installed the Apache stuff again. So that's going to be make install webconf, and then I'm going to restart everything. HTTPD restart, Nagios restart. There it is.
Can you go back to your
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might need to do that slower, what you just did.
Well, I don't think anybody left their Nagios directory, right? Y'all are still in your Nagios directories.
Yeah, I had an issue though. It's not.
Were you able to do the web
It's saying
install?
here it's not. Nagios isn't like the file isn't found, so I'm not sure what I did. Like I can see all the files, but I'm not seeing Nagios itself.
Are you? What do you mean you're not seeing Nagios itself?
Like I see, I'm in the Nagios. Like I'm in the Nagios
Mm-hmm.
folder, but as far as Nagios.
Oh, that's not what you're looking for. Just type make install -webconf. CONF, yes, webconf.
what is HTTPD?
That's your web service process. So you can have like a web server installed, but you have to have HTTPD running.
Then after you've installed, done make install webconf, do service HTTPD restart. That'll restart Apache. And service Nagios restart. That'll restart Nagios.
It's pulling up unrecognized service of mine.
It took some files from that Nagios in the folder, and it put them in the web folder. So when you have a web server, there's a folder where you put all of your HTML files and all your web files. And if you don't do that webconf install, then it doesn't take the Nagios files and put them in the web folder. That's why he was getting a page not found, because there was nothing there. So the webconf install was a script that the Nagios people made to copy those files over to his web server.
So once you've done that, go to localhost/Nagios and you should get a login thing. If you use the same commands that I did, you'll have a user named Nagios admin with the password. You can see here that Nagios core is running on our computer. And so you can see tactical overview tells you about the things that have happened in your system. It shows everything is down because we don't have anything running.
Well, go to service or host groups.
Host group shows localhost. The status is down. There are 8 critical things.
Hold on, let me
When
see. Oh yeah, maybe we do have to be the plugins.
what this is the interface that you'll see when we're at competition. You'll see here where it says Linux servers localhost. There will be a whole row, and it'll be a row for each of our servers, and then you'll also see a lot of times, like you can look at the service group summary, and it'll show you how all the other teams are doing.
Well, here, I got something.
Okay. All right. So this is actually very much like what you will see at competition. We'll have our summary, and we'll also have a summary where we can just see like red or green what the other people are doing. But this is going to tell us what we need to know about each computer. Gives us the host name.
Can you zoom in?
So you can see that a host name.
Wait, this is my Nagios that I use here in the building to monitor my servers and tell me if everything's up or down.
So it'll tell you a little bit about each machine. You can look at Cobra here, and you'll see that Cobra has FTP running, the ping service running, SMTP and SSH. They've been up for a duration of 212 days, 212 days, 15 days, and 197 days. When it last checked, you can, in your configs, you can change your update times and things like that, and see things when you want. This is showing us all of our servers, our switches for the floors, storage servers. You can look at, I think it's a tactical overview. Tells you just kind of a quick overview of everything that's going on. Our host health is green, and our service health is yellow. 89.3% health. We know that there is a...
The server is intentionally off right now.
Yeah.
I just haven't done any I haven't taken it out of Nagios.
Yeah.
It's not-
So we know that one host is down, and there are 3 unproblem hosts, all of which are on Apache. Apache not being the web service, but an actual server. Oh, you don't have service group defined. So a quick summary is another thing that we'll watch a lot at competition. You see in our host groups, we have groups, Linux servers, storage servers, network switches, Windows servers, all that kind of stuff. You can see a quick summary. Under Linux servers, there's 6 hosts. We have 5 up and 1 down. And we can look at the service status for that whole group. And so this is what they use for scoring at Cyber Defense. It's also what we use to see what our computers are doing, if we have a service down, what we need to work on. And so this is definitely something to take a look at. This is a logical map looking at stuff. So that is Nagios. The next thing we were going to do is take a look at Wireshark. You got it working on Linux or on Windows? Alright, so Mike is going to go up here. Wireshark is a network monitoring tool, and I'll tell you more about it.
Alright, so remember when we were going over all that networking stuff and we were talking about the different layers? That'll actually come into play here when we're using Wireshark, because Wireshark shows your packets and it shows all the different layers, like, you know, the IP layer and the TCP layer, all that kind of stuff. So what we want to do is, I'll show you how, I just looked on the website to figure it out, but you do a yum search Wireshark, and this is a good troubleshooting. If you know the package you're trying to install, but it's not installing right, maybe you do a search for it, because maybe there's other things that you missed that you could install. Man, this mirror is slow. Alright, so now you see there's 2 packages. There's Wireshark and there's Wireshark-GNOME. And if you remember when we talked about last week, GNOME is one of your graphical displays you have in Linux available to you. So if you see something like -GNOME, a lot of times that means the graphical version for it. What this is GNOME desktop integration for Wireshark. So what that means is it's going to integrate Wireshark into your GNOME desktop. So it'll like put something up here for you basically, and you can run it. So we need to do a yum-y install Wireshark-gnome. Alright, and now we should be able to just type Wireshark at the command prompt and it'll open it up. Alright, so that's working. And notice when I open that Wireshark, my window, see how it's not at a pound prompt? It's like hung. That's because Wireshark is running and it's waiting for Wireshark to close before it lets you run other commands. But do you remember what Tim told us last week about how you can put a process or a program to the background? Well, I'm going to do that. So let me close Wireshark. And I'm going to run Wireshark space ampersand. And so now, when I run Wireshark, you notice it gives it a process ID. And now I'm back at a prompt. So now I can still use my window. So that's a little trick you can do if you like running things from the graphical programs from the command prompt and you don't want all your command prompts getting taken up by these graphical programs. Just do space ampersand and it'll just open the program, let you keep using the terminal. First, let's make sure our VMs are in bridge mode. So let's go to the top and let's look at player, manage, virtual machine settings. And I want network adapter. Make sure you click bridged and then click OK. Yeah. Alright. So I just put my mouse to the top to bring down the VMware settings, or the little bar. Then I click player, manage, and virtual machine settings. What's that? I don't know. Help them out, Rishi. And then you go to network adapter. And you go to bridged. Oh, you may not be full screen. Yeah, you may. So you may not have to bring down the bar. Like if you're not full screen, you can just use the settings at the top. Like if you're at this spot, you just go to player, manage, and virtual machine settings. Because if you're not full screen, it'll have the VMware bar already there. Alright, but I'm going to go back full screen. Alright, so everybody right click on your desktop and open a terminal and type ifconfig. Remember that shows us our IP address. And yours, does it still say for Ethernet 0 like 192.168 here under iNet address? Alright, so remember how we restarted our web server? Well, we need to restart our networking. So we're going to do service network restart. Alright, and you'll see it's going to shut down the interface on Ethernet 0, shut down the loopback, then it's going to bring up the interface on Ethernet 0, bring up the loopback. You might have another interface if there's an old one saved on your VM. but the end result should be that it reset the network adapter. After you're done, you can type ifconfig, and you should have an internet address that starts with 10.200. So now our virtual machines are bridged, and we can talk to each other's machines on this network. So let's see. Let me go ahead and write down what you guys' IP addresses are. So let's see. COM8. Which one are you?
62.
Okay. You're 62. Which IP are you, Chris? Alright. And which IP are you? Alright. And did you do it too, Rishi? Which one are you? Alright. Alright, that'll be good. Alright, so now that we have our IP set up and we can talk to each other on the network, go ahead and if you have your Wireshark already open, that's fine. I'm going to reopen it using Wireshark space ampersand. And the easiest way to go ahead and start capturing packets on your interface is just go to Capture and Interfaces. And that'll bring up a window of all your interfaces that you have on your computer. And you want to use the one that represents your IP address right here. So you want to use Ethernet 0. You just click Start. And now you'll be capturing packets that you're getting. So leave Wireshark running and maybe go ahead and open up Firefox. And we'll get some activity to capture. And just go to a website of your choice. I'm going to go to CNN.com just because I like going to a news site. Just that way you know if you're getting current stuff. Because if you get a cached version of the page, it should be obvious to you pretty quick. And maybe I'll go to another one. I'll go to YouTube.com. Alright, and I'm going to minimize my Firefox. And I'm going to click Stop the running live capture up here on the Wireshark bar. So that's going to stop capturing packets. Because as you can see, I've already got basically 4,000 packets just from leaving it running for that long and going to 2 websites. So remember how we talked about all the traffic gets broken up? It really does. And these websites are pretty big, so ends up being a lot of packets. So your main window, what you got is up here where you have all the different colored lines. These are all of your packets. And they're labeled 1 through however many you have. So up here you have number. Then it shows the time that they came, and that's time since you started Wireshark. They have the source IP address and the destination IP address, what protocol it was using. Remember we talked about SSH, HTTP, SMTP, all those different protocols and ports. It'll tell you what that packet was associated with. And then the info will actually show you some info about that packet. Wireshark has some built-in functionality where it'll try and look at the packet and give you a summary of what it is. So we've got 4,000 packets here, and we need a way to kind of look through them. Well, actually, let me show you. This next part down here is the packet itself, broken down. And you see how you can do the arrows to like look at each piece of it? That's an ARP. Let me find a TCP packet. So just look for a TCP packet. And you can tell them by protocol will say TCP. and just click on it. Now I'm actually going to make this portion a little bit bigger so we can expand it out. Alright, and lucky for me, it's already got it broken down into layers. So you can see we've got the frame, which if you pull this up, this bottom portion is the entire packet basically. It shows you the hexadecimal, the hex code of the packet. And then on the right hand portion right here, it shows you the ASCII interpretation of the packet. Alright, so if we're looking at a TCP packet, I can click Ethernet 2, and that's my layer 2 device. That's my layer 2 information. So you expand it out, and you can see I have a source MAC address, and I have a destination MAC address. So remember, that's that layer 2 addressing that we talked about. You can actually go into those, and there's more information. Well,
when you're clicking on something in there, it's highlighting in the hex what you're looking at.
exactly.
The MAC addresses are essentially untext in hex because they are hex.
Right. So you can see down here in the bottom, you can click destination MAC address, and it will show you which part of the packet that information is stored in. So you can see destination MAC address is kind of at the front of the packet. It's important. Then you got the source MAC address. Alright. So next thing I'm going to look at is layer 3, Internet Protocol. And you can click that and it'll highlight which portion is the layer 3, the Internet Protocol. And if we expand that out a little bit, we've got a lot of different pieces of information in here. We've got flags, we've got time to live, we've got what protocol this packet is. But the most important, you can see down here, we've got source and destination. And you can see those are the IP addresses. So that is layer 3 addressing that we talked about. So layer 3 has the source and the destination IP address. Next thing we have is layer 4. And on that layer we have TCP. And you can look and see we've got a source port and a destination port. So source port is 55184 and destination port is port 80. And you'll notice Wireshark will tell me what port 80 typically is. Is typically HTTP. And this is layer 4 addressing. So remember, the MAC address and the IP address get you to the correct computer for the packet, right? The port gets you to the right application on the computer. Alright? So, this is basically the breakdown of a packet in Wireshark. Now, for some more useful things, up here at the top we have a filter. And what we can do is we can type in commands there to tell it to only show us packets that relate to something. So I'm going to go up there and I'm going to type DNS and press enter. And I'm going to expand my packet list back down a little bit. Alright, and so now I've got a list of all the DNS packets that are in this capture. Alright, you can see I'm looking down here on the right hand side. It'll just show you what actual server that they were querying for. I sent a request for www.centos.org, right? And if we go down and we look down here at the ASCII, you can actually see it, right? You see www.centos.org down here. And if we go to the response, you can actually, let me find it in the frame here. So here's the domain name system response. This is a UDP packet because DNS can actually use UDP. We talked a little bit about TCP. UDP is another layer 4 protocol. And let's see. We should be able to find it. Oh, I need a response with an IP. So let's see. Queries. Answers. There's the answer. So for this particular query, the query was camp1.cs.mercer.edu, and you can look and see at the source and the destination. You can see the talk between my computer and the DNS server. And if you look over here, query and then query response, you can see the response is 10.200.4.67. So there you can see DNS actually working. And that's what DNS does. Remember, we talked about it. It'll change a name into an IP address for the computer to use. Well, this is an actual capture of that process. And then if you dig down into the packet under answers, you can see there's the address. 10.200.4.67. Alright. And let's see, another thing that we can do, I'm going to clear this. And I'm going to look for HTTP. That'll show us all of our HTTP traffic. So you guys know kind of what happens when a web server sends you a web page, right? It sends you the HTML of the web page, right? A lot of times. Well, if we take one of these HTTP packets, you right-click on it, and you click Follow TCP Stream, it'll actually rebuild that conversation. So now I followed the TCP stream. What it does is it gathers up all the packets that were in on that conversation. Alright? And I believe red is your computer. Red is your computer talking. And blue is the server talking. Alright? And so you can see in the red, I did a GET. And I'm using Mozilla 5.0, using Linux. So this is like all the information your browser is telling the web server, you know, because maybe the web server wants to know what type of browser you're using, because it might show a different page optimized for that browser. So that's kind of how it uses that. And if we look at the response, you can see it's some HTML code. There's the JavaScript. Yeah, so you can see like there's a div, there's an image.
So this is content type application X JavaScript.
Yeah.
So it's doing some server-side scripting to, well, the web pages are built from JavaScript.
Yeah.
And so you can actually see not only is it recreating the conversation, but you can also see the steps that it's going through to rebuild the web page on your computer.
Yep. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to clear this and I'm going to go to Capture, Interfaces, and we're going to start another capture. And we'll continue without saving this current capture. Alright. And what I want you guys to do, I didn't back out. I'll just yep. So just go to Capture Interfaces, and on Ethernet 0 just click Start. I'll go ahead and start one myself. And I'm going to minimize it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping you guys. I believe we have the firewall off. If not, we'll have to turn off the firewall. 4.62. Alright. So I got a response there. Is your Wireshark running? Okay. Alright.
Are you running in? Yeah, there you go. Go ahead and start a
Ping
new capture.
request.
Reply.
So you see, you should see under protocol ICMP. Yep. So that's what it looks like when I'm pinging your computer. Alright, and you're 19, so 68. So you see those ICMP packets coming in? Alright. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to hit you, Rushi. Do you have your Wireshark going? Oh, okay. Alright, do you have yours going now? Alright. Can you help them get it started?
No, don't save it.
And actually, search.
Now save it.
What is it?
Where it says filter expression clear, hit clear for me. What's happening? Popped out and nothing was there. Yeah, you still had it was still filtering your.
All right. I'm going to install Nmap. Nope. I'm going to -y install. Huh? No. You don't have to. I'm just going to do this so I can scan your computer and you can see what it looks like. So remember when we were doing netstat and I scanned your computer and you can see what it looks like? Now we're going to do it when you're watching Wireshark.
What exactly is scanning doing?
It's looking for available ports on your computer.
All it's doing is it's just taking it's hitting each one of them to see which one is open. I think it's like port 80 for 480 would be web service, 22 would be SSH, and
Is yours running now? All right. I will ping you.
open even if it's not open to pinging. It will
All right. You are 62.
use this port and it knows that it's open.
So you see there's the ICMP packets. And ICMP is the ping protocol basically. And you can see my computer is just continuously sending them. So you should be getting a request and you should be sending a reply. Alright, so now I'm going to do a quick scan on you. Not an intense one. A quick scan. And you should see some packets start rolling in. Maybe a lot of packets even. Yeah, actually, let's do this. Let's stop the Wireshark and let's make a new capture for these scans. So that you can stop it after I'm done and you can look at it. Because it's going to be a lot of packets. Alright, let me know when you have a new capture running. I'll scan you. You got one?
The quick scan should only be like 50 or 60 different ports.
It's still going to be a lot of packets. Alright, here comes a scan. Alright, Chris, you got it? Huh? Alright, here comes the scan. Alright. 62, you ready? Alright. And scan. And I'm showing, for most of you guys, I'm showing port 22 is open, which is SSH, because you have an SSH server running. So that means I could actually SSH into your computer. Now, of course, it's going to ask me for username and password. I have to know what the right username and password is. But so that means you have SSH open and available. If you have a web server, like I believe I can actually scan myself. And when I scan myself, you can see I have 22. But in addition, I have 25, which is SMTP. I have port 80, which is HTTP, because remember, we installed Apache. So that's port 80. And I have a couple of other ports here, because we installed the Nagios server on here. Actually, the reason I probably don't see Nagios on your guys' box, you probably had the firewall on, and you're probably not allowing port 80 through. Whereas when I scan my own computer, it's unfiltered. Alright. So that's basically how you can use Wireshark, and a little bit of how to do things in Linux. So tonight was kind of the purpose of it was to do some Linux, but to also show you maybe Wireshark and kind of show you Nagios, what it is. But as you do things in Linux, you get better at, you just get used to it. So, do you guys have questions about what we've done so far? Okay. We'll get more into Wireshark later on. We'll probably do like a whole session on it where we're really showing you how to get into the packets and figure out what's going on your network. You can actually use Wireshark for troubleshooting. If you have a server that you just can't connect to, yet it's acting weird, it's kind of like it'll let you kind of connect, but it won't finish the connection, or you only get half of the document. You can use Wireshark to troubleshoot things on your network and see exactly what's going on, and that really helps you in that regard. And of course, we'll go over Nmap, which is a program used to scan the ports of another computer and see like what services are available. I guess with that, we'll wrap it up for tonight. And thank you guys for coming.